Yeah. Good evening, everyone. So, in the last session, we understood what is encapsulation, right? What is encapsulation? The process of combining variables and methods is called as encapsulation. So, variables we are going to take as a private and methods we are taking as a public. If the variable is a private, nobody can modify the value of the variable outside of the class. If you want to provide the reusability, then we are going for setters and getters. What is the purpose of setter and getter? Setter is used to set the value for the variable. Getter is used to get the value from the variable. Perfect. We are done with encapsulation. Got it? Java class is the best example for encapsulation. Next, today we are going to talk about inheritance. Today we are going to talk about inheritance. All right. The process of extending the properties from one class to another class is called as inheritance. Best example, our parents' properties we are inheriting. If our parents are having money, can we use that? Yes or no? If our parents are having a house, can we use that? Yes. Parent and child. Parent properties child can access, but child properties parent can access? No. No, there is no right. Right? Right? Parent properties childs can access, child properties parents cannot access. So inheritance, the process of extending the properties, the process of extending the properties from one class to another class is called as inheritance. Read that statement. The process of extending the properties from one class to another class is called as inheritance. When we go for inheritance, parent class will be available and child class is available. From which class we are extending the properties, that class can be called as a parent class, super class, base class. So super, parent, base, all are representing our class from which we are inheriting the properties. The process of extending the properties from one class to another class is called as inheritance. So to extend the properties, we will use a keyword called extends keyword. If you want to represent inheritance between two classes, you need to use a keyword called extends keyword. Extends keyword is used to represent inheritance relationship between two classes. From which class we are extending the properties? From which class we are extending the properties? That class is called as parent, or we can call as super class, or we can call as a base class. From which class you are extending the properties, that class is called as a parent, or super, or base class. In which class is extending, that class is called as a child class, subclass, or derived class. The class which is extending the properties, the class which is extending the properties is called as child, or we can call as subclass, or we can call as derived class, which is called as derived class. It is called as a child class or subclass, or it is called as a derived class. For example, I'm having a class called user. There is a class available which is called user. Inside the user class, we can write some properties. and we can write some methods. Class is nothing but collection of properties and methods. Properties nothing but, can I call them as a variables? Properties nothing but what? Variables. Class is a combination of variables and methods. Now class user is available. Next one, I'm writing one class called student. I'm writing one class called student. Can I say this is a super class, this is a subclass? Is there any relation? No, those are two normal Java classes. One is a user class, another one is a student class. Currently, there is no relation between those two classes. There is no relation between those two classes. Now, if I want to establish inheritance, if I want to establish inheritance, then I need to use a keyword called extends. What is the superclass? User. Student extends user. Now, can I say this is a superclass? Can I say this is a subclass? Can I say it is a parent? Can I say it is a base? Yes. From which class we are extending the properties, that class can be called as a super class, or it can be called as a base class, or it can be called as a parent class. Now class student extends user. Student is one class which is extending the properties from user. Student class can be called as a subclass. Student class can be called as a child class. It can be called as a derived class. In the above example, user class is acting as parent class. User class is acting as parent class, and student class is acting as child class. Parent and child. When there is a parent and child relationship, when there is a parent and child relationship, child class can access all the properties of the parent. What are the variables available in the parent? What are the methods available in the parent? Can be accessed by child. But child properties parent can access or parent cannot access? Parents cannot access child properties, but a child can access parent properties. Are you getting my point? Yes. Now, so diagrammatically, I'm taking one class with a name called user. I'm taking one class with a name called user, integer, ID, string, name. So this is one user class. In this class, void some m1 method is available. Inside this method, there is some logic. Okay. This is my user class. This is my user class. This class having two properties and one method. Class is nothing but collection of variables and methods only. And the next one, there is a another class called student. Another class called student. Inside the student class, I'm having rank and I'm having void m2. Inside this m2, I can write some logic. Now, currently, student and user having any relation, or there is no relation? There is no relation. These are two independent Java classes. Okay. Now, student want to extend properties from user, because student also can have ID. Student also can have a name. Already ID, name, variables available in the user class. I don't want to write them once again. I want to reuse. I want to go for reusability. What is the meaning of reusability? Using the code which is available in the other classes. So other programmers already has done the coding. They created the variables in the user class. I also want to use the same variable. Instead of I am writing the variables, I can reuse the variables. That is called inheritance. Can you tell me what is inheritance? Extending the properties from one class to another class is called as inheritance. The process of extending the properties from one class to another class is called as inheritance. To extend the properties, we will use extends keyword. It is a predefined keyword. If you want to develop a program with inheritance, then extends keyword is mandatory. From which class we are extending the properties, that class is called as a parent class or super class or base class. People will call with different names, but the meaning is same. That is a parent. From which we are getting the properties, that is called as parent. The class which is extending the properties, that is called as child class or subclass or derived class. What is the main reason to go for inheritance? By using inheritance, what we can achieve? By using inheritance, we can achieve. Hey, dekho. By using by using inheritance, we can achieve code reusability. Yeah. If you attend the class like this, can you understand? आराम से ऐसा बैठ के नींद आ जाता. You will get sleep. उसका नाम क्या है? ऑफलाइन स्टूडेंट है वो, आज ऑनलाइन में ज्वाइन किया था. Yes. But I have to remove this facility, man. For offline people, I should not give online access. By using inheritance, we can achieve code reusability. What is the meaning of code reusability? What is the meaning of code reusability? One class code can be reused in the another class. That is called as code reusability. To achieve that reusability, we are going for inheritance. All right. So now you see class user class having some properties and some methods. Class student extends from user. So whatever the properties, whatever the methods available can be accessed in the student class directly, because student is acting as a child for the user. So in the above example, user class acting as a parent and student class is acting as a child. All right. Now student extends user. Student class is extending the properties from user. So now we can say that there is a relation. There is a relation. What relation is available between user and student? Parent and child. Can I say this is a parent class? Can I say this is a child class? Yes. What relation is available between user class and student class? Parent child relationship is available. What is the advantage? क्या फायदा है? Code reusability. What is the meaning of code reusability? The properties, the methods which are available in the user class can be directly accessed in the student. Childs will have the access for parent properties. Child will have the access for parent properties. Getting my point? But parent can access? No. Parent cannot access child properties, but the childs can access parent properties by default. All right. Let us see this programmatically. Now, I'm creating one class with a name called user. Let's take an example. User class I'm taking. Inside this user, I'm taking some ID and I'm taking some name. ID and name. Now I'm writing a method void m1 system.out.println user class user class m1 method called. Okay, just I'm taking two variables and one method. Integer id, string name, two variables available, and I can say it is void m1 system.out.println user class m1 method called. User class m1 method called. Now I am going for student, new class student. Now, so student is a normal Java class. For student also, I will write int id, string name, int rank. Okay, but there is a problem. What is the problem? Duplicate code. Can I say duplicate code is available? What is the duplicate code? In the user class, we have id name variable. In the student class also, we have id name variable. Same variables I'm writing at two places. If you write the same code more than once, that is called duplicate code. It is also called as redundant code. Redundant code. It is also called as boilerplate code. Are you guys getting my point? So there are several names available. What are those? Duplicate or redundant, or boilerplate. Okay, that means the code which is already available in one class, you are rewriting the same code. That is called as boilerplate code or duplicate code or redundant code. As we are developing the program by using Java, we should not write the boilerplate code because Java is a OOP language. Java is a object oriented programming language. So when you are going for OOPs, code reusability is available. Then why to write the same code in multiple places? That you are violating the OOPs principle. You are not following the OOPs principles properly if you write the code like this. There are variables already in the user class, but why are you writing them again in the student class? You are not following proper coding standards. You are not following OOPs principles properly. Are you guys getting my point? Yes. So what output will come? Code is correct only, but not recommended. Code is correct only, but it is not recommended because we are not reusing the code. We are rewriting the code. What is the difference between reusing and rewriting? What is the difference between reusing and rewriting? Reusing the code is nothing but whatever the code is already available, we can use it. No need to write. Without writing, I want to use it. Without writing, I want to use it. But rewriting means you already written that code, same code I am also writing, then it is called as duplicate code or boilerplate code or redundant code. We should not write duplicate code in the project. We should not write duplicate code in the project. Always we need to go for reusability. How can we achieve that reusability? By using inheritance. First, you have to identify what code you want. Is that code already existing or not? If that code is already existing, आप reuse कर सकते हैं. If the code is whatever the code you need, if that code is already available, you reuse it. If not available, you write it. If not available, you write it. Okay, now I should not write this duplicate code. I don't want to write the variables. I don't want to write these two variables. I want to reuse. How? How can I reuse? Extends user. Now, is there any relation between the user class and student class? Yes, there is a relation between user class and student class. What relation? What relation is available? parent relation and child relation is available. Which class is called as a parent class? Which class is called as a parent class? The class from which we are extending the properties, that class is called as a parent. Which class is called as a child class? The class which is extending, the class which is inheriting the properties, it is called as child class. Child class can access all the properties of the parent, but parent cannot access all the properties of the child. Got my point? What is the keyword we are using to achieve the inheritance? We are using the keyword called extends keyword. Using a keyword called extends keyword. Are you getting my point? Yes. Now, here I am writing user class having ID, name, and there is a method called M1 method, user class M1 method called. User class M1 method called. Student class, student extending the properties from the user. How many properties student is having? Three properties available. Simple, man. I have 1 lakh rupees. My father is having 10 lakhs. How much property I have? मेरा पापा का money मुझे मिलता है ना? Yes, whatever the money my father is having, that money also comes into my account only. I'm having 1 lakh. My father is having 10 lakh. How much money I have? 11 lakhs, because I have the access for my parents' property. Now I have the access for my parent property because I'm a child. As a child, I have a relationship with my father. My father properties I can get directly. Those properties I can access directly. Now look at the student. Student is a parent or student is a child? To whom? User. User is a parent. To whom? Student. Yes, parent and child relation. Parent is having two properties. Child is having one property. Child proper directly one property available. Indirectly three properties. Two properties coming from parent, one property already available in the child. Can we see practically child is having the access for parent properties or not? Yes. Let me write a method called main method. Let me write a method called main method. So this is a variable, instance variable or static variable? Instance variable. Now in the user class there are two variables, instance or static? Instance. How to access instance variables? By using the object. Okay. Now the question. Do I need to create child object or parent object? That's where you are wrong, man. If I create the parent object, parent can access child. Common sense. If I create the parent object, क्या फायदा है? No, there is no reusability, right? Because parent class cannot access child. If I create the child object, child can access parent. You have seen in the movies, right? In the movie, in the Tollywood or Bollywood, पापा को किडनैप करते, बच्चे को किडनैप करते. पापा को किडनैप करते, बच्चे को किडनैप करते. क्यों? पापा पैसा देगा. Right. So always we need to catch the child. Always we need to catch the child. पापा पैसा देगा. Right. You understand? So now you have seen that movies, right? It is will be there. बच्चे को किडनैप करते हैं. Then they will call. Your kid is kidnapped. You have to bring 2 crore rupees to Charminar tomorrow morning. Otherwise, we will kill his kid. ऐसे warning मिलते हैं ना? Yes. So why they are not kidnapping the father? Father also kidnapped. Huh? All right. So now I need to create the object for the child, or I need to क्या है बाप से पैसा निकलना है तो बच्चे को उठाना पड़ेगा कितना भी करने इनहेरिटेंस है all right guys, now here I have a parent class, I have a parent class and I have a child class. Got my point, right? if पापा को किडनैप करे तो वो किसको कॉल करना पड़ेगा अगर बच्चे को किडनैप करे तो पापा को कॉल करते हैं, पापा को किडनैप करे तो वाइफ को कॉल करेगा, योर हस्बैंड इज किडनैप, बाढ़ में गई, छोड़ दे। don't leave him, don't leave him, yes or no? if a wife is kidnapped they will call to husband, husband क्या बोलेगा, उसको रिलीज मत करना, रिलीज मत करना। हाँ, you can say that. That is the reason people will kidnap children. अगर पापा को और मम्मी को किडनैप करते पैसा नहीं मिलेगा उसको। All right. So that is the reason always we need to create the object for the child. Why we create object for child? Child will have the access for parent. If I create object for parent, if I create object for parent, you can access only parent properties. You can't access the child properties. If you create the object for the child properties you can access, as well as parent properties also you can access. Whenever you want to achieve reusability, always you need to give the priority for the child classes. Always you need to give the priority for the child classes. All right. I'm creating object for student S is equal to new student. Student S is equal to new student. S dot rank. Rank is which class property? Rank is which class property? Student class property. S dot ID. ID is which class property? Parent class. Am I able to access? Yes, that means child is having the access for parent property or not? Yes. So that is called reusability. That is called reusability. How we are able to achieve reusability? How we are able to achieve reusability? By using inheritance. Which keyword we are using to represent reusability? Extends. What is the keyword? Extends. Now, public class student extends user. Public class student extends user. Inter rank. Student is having one property directly. The other properties are coming from parent. Child can access parent properties, but parent cannot access child properties. Public, static, void, main, string arguments. Student S is equal to new student. S dot rank is equal to 1. S dot ID is equal to 101. S dot name is equal to some value. Okay, some value. Now, क्या भाई? क्या हंसी आ रहा है? और कोई चाहिए क्या आपको? बानू? हाँ ठीक है. पूजा जाए. चलो भाई. Good. So yes that rank is equal to 1. Yes that yeah, you people are disturbing my interest. जावा को पूरा कॉमेडी कर दिया था। हाँ ठीक है, चलो कुछ भी। Student S is equal to new student. Here guys, I am creating object for which class? Child class object creation. Why I am creating object for child class? Why I am creating object for child class? Child class can access its own properties and it can access parent properties also. Reusability we can achieve. S dot rank. Rank is which class property? Rank is a own property, its own property. Now these are what I am doing here, accessing parent class properties using child object. Can I say like that? Now accessing parent class properties using child class object. Okay, s dot id is equal to 101, s dot name is equal to Banu. System dot out dot println s dot id plus s dot name plus s dot rank, s dot rank. Okay, I'm accessing three properties, but actually in the child class how many properties available? Only one. How come I'm able to access id name? Inheriting. Student is inheriting those properties from parent. Okay, let's run this program. Run as Java application. Yesterday one person came to me. He is not getting the option to run the program. I am right clicking, run as Java application option I milra. I'm clicking on this button. After 5 minutes, I was checking what is the problem, what is the problem, what is the problem. After 5 minutes, I realized that this person did not write this array. When I don't write that array, program is valid. Program is valid, but you can't run that. I'm not getting that option. Run as a Java application because JVM is always checking for the main method with the string array. Right. So you should be very careful. That's why use the shortcut in the IDE. It will generate the method properly. If you write it, you may do some syntax mistakes in the main method. Got my pen? Who is that guy? Kahan hai? Where is that? Where is that person? Who is that? He met me. I remember yesterday only. No, not online, offline student only. He came to and he met me there. I forgot his face. Right. Okay, let me run my application, guys. See here, are we really able to access parent class properties by using child class properties or not? Right click, run as Java application. Can you see? Am I able to access parent class properties? This ID name are the parent class variables. Only rank is the child class variable. Are you getting my point? Yes. You got the clarity. What is inheritance and why we need to go for inheritance? Yes. Inheritance example. Inheritance with respect to property, with respect to variables. I have taken a class called user. I mean, you can remove this also. User class is available. There are two properties available. Then student class is available. Inside the student class, I'm creating child class object, initializing the variable, accessing the parent class properties and printing them. And I am printing them. That's it. So user is my parent, student is my child. Student class object I created and I'm able to access the parent class properties. For example, if I create parent object user is equal to new user. Which class object I'm creating? parent. Can I do user.id? User.id. Can I dot user.name? Yes or no? Yes. Now I'm able to take user.name. Can I take user.rank? Why? Is it allowing me to access? No. This is invalid. Invalid. Why it is invalid? Parent cannot access child properties. Parent cannot access child properties. Child can access parent properties. Are you getting my point? Yes, invalid because parent cannot access child properties, but the child can access parent properties. So I'm giving that invalid scenario also here, creating parent class object. Creating parent class object. Trying to access child property, that is not possible. Perfect. Now let's take one method, guys. Let us see how can we reuse the methods. How can we reuse the methods? Now public class user class is away, or else let me take some other classes. Yeah, now I'm creating one more class with a name called employee. I'm creating a class with a name called employee. Can employee extend the properties from user? Yes or no? So who is a subclass, which is a subclass, and which is superclass? Yes. Employee is a subclass, user is a superclass. Employee extending from user. So user is a superclass, employee is a subclass. All right. Next one. Take a main method. Take a main method. And let me take void m2. Void m2. System.out.println employee class m2 method called. Employee class m2 method called. Here user class m1 method called. Can I say user is a parent? Can I say user is a parent? Can I say employee is a subchild? Can I say it is a child? Yes. Superclass is having a method. Subclass also having a method. Now I want to call the methods. My main method is available in the employee class. Which class object I need to create? I need to create employee class object, or I need to create user class object. I need to create only employee class object. Why? Why I should create only employee class object? Employee is a child. If I create the child object, child properties as well as parent properties can be accessed. If I create a user class object, only parent class properties you can access. Okay. Now tell me how to create the object. Employee emp is equal to new employee. Employee emp is equal to new employee. Emp dot m1. Valid or invalid? Valid. What is this? Calling parent class method. Calling parent class method. Here calling child class method. Emp dot m2. Object I created for which class? Object is created for child class. Creating object for child class. Creating the object for the child class using child class object, we are calling parent class method as well as child class method. Valid or invalid? Valid or invalid? Invalid. Or valid? Valid. Yes, it is valid. run as Java application. Parent class method called as well as child class method is also called. I hope you got the clarity. What is inheritance and why we need to go for inheritance. Inheritance with respect to methods. Okay. Superclass method I am calling in the subclass by using inheritance. Code reusability. If code is already available in one class, we can reuse that code directly without rewriting that code. All right. So we understood how to access parent class variables and how to access child class variables, parent class methods, and child class methods. Always remember, whenever we are going for inheritance, we need to create the object for only child classes. If you go for inheritance, if you create parent object, is there any advantage? There is no use of going for inheritance. Why we are going for inheritance? Why we are going for inheritance? Code reusability. If you want to reuse the code, you need to create the child object. Child objects can access its own properties as well as parent properties. But a parent class can access only its own its properties, not the child properties. So variables we are able to reuse, methods also we are able to reuse. So that is called inheritance. Inheritance. Now, can I write a constructor? Can I write a constructor? Yes or no? Huh. What is this? Can I say here? System.out.println. Can I say it as parent class constructor? Can I say that parent class constructor is called? Yes, parent class constructor called. Go to employee. Am I writing or I am using shortcut? What is the shortcut? Just control space. I'm not generating setters getters na. Alt to shift SR, that is for setters getters. Here I just want a constructor. If you do control space, the first option is constructor only. Now see here how I am generating 0 param constructor, control space enter. That's it. Control space enter. It is giving the constructor for us. Which constructor? Parameterized constructor or 0 param constructor? 0 param constructor. What is the shortcut? Control space enter. So when you do control space, it is giving the constructor in the first line. It is already selected. Click on enter. It is giving the constructor. So what is the conclusion? If you use the shortcuts, you can write more code in the less time. Okay. So I don't know why people are typing main method. Control space. It is not giving the main method. Just type main. Control space enter. Got it? So type main, control space enter. Control space is for auto suggestions. Control space is used for auto suggestions. Right. Yes, I'm writing a constructor. Now I'm deleting one line, guys. I want to delete this line. People will do like this. Not required. Control D. Directly that line will be deleted. So you need to make more practice on the IDE with the shortcuts. Then the code that you are writing, speed will be there. Okay. As a programmer, you should be able to type the letters without seeing the keyboard. Just like this. You have to do that. I can do that. I can write my name. Right? So that comes based on the experience. This is IDE, man. Okay. So whatever that comes based on the experience. As you are Every day we will use computer. Every day we are typing. Just 26 characters are available. Your fingers should work like this. Without looking at the key. Have you ever observed in the keyboard, F, J will have small tick marks? Yeah, that is used to understand where we are putting our fingers. Yes, not that. Yeah, ASDF. Our four fingers will be there on ASDF. JKL semicolon. Yeah, JKL semicolon will be there. Without looking at the keyboard, I can write that code. Right, we can do that. Yeah, that is their shortcut, but no, man. Huh? Good. Yeah, I'm generating a constructor, right? Control space enter. I got the constructor. Now I want to write some statement. System.out.println. What is this? Child class constructor called. Child class constructor called. Okay. We have seen inheritance with respect to variables, inheritance with respect to methods. Now we are trying to understand constructors. Remember, whenever you create child class object, parent class constructor also will be called. So whenever, now let's see here, just see here. Run as Java application. Can you see which constructor is executing first? Whenever you create the object for the child class, always parent class constructor will execute first. Why? Because child can access parent properties, right? If a child want to access the parent properties should be stored in the memory. When the variables will be stored in the memory? When the object is created. So that means constructor should be called or not? That is the reason JVM is intelligent. Observe, understand. This is a tricky point. In the interview, they will ask a question. I have a parent and child relation. If I create a child class object, what will happen? So which constructor will execute first? Parent class constructor will execute first automatically. You no need to call it. Now you see, I am creating object for parent class or child class. I am creating the object for child class. What is the meaning of object creation? Calling the constructor. Which constructor I am calling? Employee constructor. Can I say employee is my child? Can I say employee is my child? Yes. Am I writing any logic to call parent constructor? No. I'm just creating the child object. I'm calling parent method. I'm calling child method. Even if you don't call the methods also, there is no problem. There is no problem. If you create child class object, automatically parent class constructor will be executed first. After that only child class constructor will be executed. That is default nature of our Java. That is the default nature of our Java. But you may get a question. Sir, I am creating the child object by calling the child constructor, but why JVM is giving the priority for the parent constructor? Are you guys getting my point? Now the reason is inheritance only. The reason is inheritance only. Now why we are creating child object? To access child class properties and parent class properties. For example, if a parent class constructor is not called, that means parent object is not created. If this constructor is not executed, these variables will be stored in the JVM or cannot stored in the JVM. Who is responsible to initialize the variables? Come on, man. Who is responsible To initialize the variables, constructor. Now for example, parent class constructor not executed. Parent class constructor not executed. If a parent class constructor is not executed, this ID and name will not be available in the JVM. Are you getting my point? If a parent class constructor is not executed, ID, name are the parent properties. Parent properties will not be available in the JVM. If they are not available in the JVM, can my child class access them? They are not even created in the memory. They are not even created in the memory. If they created in the memory, then my child can access. If they are not available in the memory, child cannot access. If a child cannot access, is there they are justifying inheritance or they will not justify inheritance? They will not justify the inheritance. So if I create only child, I should be able to access parent, but parent class properties are not there in the memory. So your inheritance is blasting. So there is no concept of inheritance. So that is the reason JVM is executing parent class constructor first. Then only it is creating child class object. Are you guys getting my point? So when we go for inheritance, which constructor will be executed first? Parent class. After parent class, then it is creating the child class object. Why parent class constructor is executing first? To initialize parent class properties first. To initialize parent class properties first. Why it has to initialize them first? By that time, child object is created, parent properties should be ready so that child can access parent properties. Is your doubt clarified? Why first it is executing parent constructor? To initialize the parent properties so that child can access those properties. So that child can access those properties. Able to follow me? Yes. Inheritance with respect to variables, inheritance with respect to methods, inheritance with respect to constructor. Yes, inheritance with respect to variables. So child class object can access parent class variables. Suppose for example, if a parent class variables are private, we cannot access. So if parent class properties are private, child also cannot access. Why? Private means inside the class only we can access. Even it is a child also cannot access. Okay. Now methods are there. Method I can make as a public and private. If a parent class method is a public, child class can access that method. If a parent class method is a private, we cannot access that. We cannot access that. If it is a protected, same subclass. Package can be different also. Protected means subclass. Subclasses can access protected members also, irrespective of the package. So no need to check the package when it is a protected member. Protected means within the package we can access any other package. If there is a inheritance relation, it can be accessed. What about the default? If parent and child available in the same package, then only they can access. Okay. Private means local. So even though you have a inheritance relation, private members cannot be accessed in the child classes. If they are public, then only we can access in the child classes. What about the methods? Subclass, child class object can directly access parent class method if it is public or protected. It is public or protected. All right. Now default methods, if it is same package, they can access. What about constructors? What about constructor? Constructor. No, whenever you create the child class object, do you need to access them or it will automatically called? Automatically it will be called. Do I need to call the superclass constructor? No. When the superclass constructor will execute? During the object of the child class. When you create the child class object, first parent constructor will execute, then child constructor will execute. Interviewer will ask a question. Why it is executing parent constructor when you create a child class object? Child should be able to access parent properties. So parent properties has to be initialized first. Then only child can access the parent. If a parent object is not created, parent properties cannot be initialized, then child cannot access, then there is no inheritance. Then there is no use of going for inheritance. When they ask that question, you should give the justification. You should tell why Sun Microsystem made like that. Sun Microsystem made it. When you create the child object, parent object will be created. When the child object is created, parent constructor will be executed, because parent properties should be initialized first. Then only child can access the properties of the parent. Because of that reason, whenever you create the child object, first parent constructor will execute, then child constructor will execute. Are you clear with this? Yes. Now let's execute this program and see that. Let's execute this program. What is the logic in the main method? Isko comment kiya tha, remove. Yeah. So I have main method. Employee emp is equal to new employee. Okay. Instead of this, can I create the object for parent? User is equal to new user. So here, who is parent, who is child? User is acting as a parent, employee acting as a child. I'm creating which class object? Come on, man. I'm creating object for parent class. Right click, Java application. Yeah, which const. Bye. 1 minute. Online people, sorry guys. Yeah. You can see screen now. Online students. Yes. Yeah. Which constructor is executed? Only parent constructor is executed. Why not child? You are creating the parent object. You are creating the parent object. Now, when I create the object for parent, only parent class constructor got executed. Now, let me change this code. Control Z. Yes. Creating the object for the child class. Okay. Run this program. First it is executing parent class constructor, then it is executing child class constructor. Very good. Inheritance with respect to constructors. Any questions, anybody? Why? 1 minute. Super. Yeah, we'll come to the super keyword. भाई आप जावा ऑलरेडी हो गया आपका. हाँ, class cannot be private. Whether it is private, super or child cannot be private. Yes, guys. Inheritance with respect to constructor. What is the point? If they ask you, can you explain inheritance with respect to constructor? What we have to tell? What we have to tell? Whenever we create child class object, whenever we create child class object, then first it will execute. First it will execute parent class constructor, and then it will execute child class constructor. Reason why parent constructor is executing first? Why parent class constructor is executing first? Under inheritance, In inheritance, child should be able to access parent properties. Hence, parent constructor will execute first. Parent constructor will execute first to initialize parent class properties. This is the reason. Child should be able to access parent class properties. Hence, parent constructor will execute first to initialize parent class properties. So when they ask you why parent constructor is executing first, you have to tell this reason. So child should be able to access the parent. That means parent property should be initialized. To initialize the properties, we will use constructor. Do I need to call the constructor or it will be called automatically? It will be called automatically. That is the default behavior. That is the default behavior. Very good. Yeah, questions now. For the parent class? No problem. Object we are creating with the default constructor na? Integer I. Okay. That means you want to create the child object with one parameter.
Parameter of the same variables of the parent and child, like ID and name. I want to create the constructor with those which is in the parent also.
You want to create parent with int I.
ID and name is in another class now.
Sorry?
ID and name is in my parent class now.
ID and name is available in the parent class. Yes. You want to access like this? Here rank is not there. Let me take double salary. Okay. Now you want to pass double salary here, right? You want to see the behavior. Okay. Now see here, guys. What this doubt is? Child class is having constructor. One is child class. I will write it as 0 param constructor. What I'm writing? Child class 0 param constructor. This is child class 3 param constructor. So that we will understand clearly which one is going to execute. Parent class is having only 0 param constructor. Is there any parameterized constructor available? No. We have only 0 param constructor in the parent. In the child, 0 param constructor available. Parameterized constructor is also available. Next, I am trying to create the object for child class. There are two constructors available. Can I call it as constructor overloading? If you write more than one constructor with different parameters, it is called as constructor overloading. Constructor overloading. Now, I am creating the object for employee class by using parameterized constructor. So, employee class is having a relationship with the user. Now, the question is, in the child class, which constructor will be called? Parameter constructor, because we are calling that only. But parent class constructor will be called or will not be called? Only default will be called. See this. Always it will call the default constructor of the parent. If you want to call parameterized constructor of the parent, inside this constructor, you need to call that by using super keyword. Our next concept is super. let's try this. Now I'm going to take user class with parameters, integer id, string name, some double salary. Okay? Parent class 0 param constructor, parent class 3 param constructor. Got it? Now guys, listen. Parent class is having 0 param constructor and parameterized constructor. Child class also having 0 param constructor, parameterized constructor. Which class object I am creating? Child class object by using parameterized constructor. See the behavior now. Come, yeah, kaha? हाँ. Suppose now see, if I don't write this, guys, simple. Observe. Whenever you create a child class object by using 0 param or parameterized, always it is calling 0 param constructor of the parent class. For example, if I remove this, listen, let me confirm. Whenever you go for inheritance, parent class should have 0 param constructor either directly or indirectly. That is the statement. If you remove this 0 param constructor, child class cannot be compiled. Why child class cannot be compiled? Why the child class cannot be compiled? This child class trying to access parent class 0 param constructor, which is not available. In our scenario, which is not available, it is failing. In this scenario, what you need to do? Explicitly, you need to call the parent constructor by using super keyword. That concept we have not discussed yet. Okay. So as of now, what is the conclusion? Always there should be a 0 parameter constructor in the parent class. Otherwise, child class cannot be compiled. Child class cannot be compiled. Is your doubt clarified? Right. Yes. What is the conclusion now? What is the conclusion now? Whenever we create child class object, then first it will execute parent class constructor and then it will execute child class constructor. If parent class does not have 0 param constructor, child class cannot be compiled. Whenever we create child class object, then it will execute parent class which constructor? 0 param constructor, and then it will execute child class constructor. If the parent class having parameterized constructor and 0 param constructor, which one is executing? 0 param only. If the 0 param constructor is not available, error. If I write param, if you don't have it, compiler will add it. If I have the parameterized, compiler will not add it. That means always 0 param constructor should be available either directly or indirectly. What is the meaning of directly? I can write it. Indirectly means compiler will add it. That 0 param constructor is mandatory for the parent classes. Whenever you create a child object can be created by using 0 param or parameters, but always it will check for 0 param in the parent class. So that is the constructor relation. Got it? Yes. Yeah, observe this code. User class is there. 0 param constructor I am writing. Employee class is there. 0 param constructor I am writing. And I am creating object like this. So what is happening internally when I create the object for child class? First, it is calling the parent class constructor y to initialize parent class properties. I am dealing with the child object. Why it is initializing parent properties? Child should be able, child may access, child may access. Is it mandatory to access? Is it mandatory that every child should access parent? If you want, you can access. If you don't want, you can ignore. But there is a chance some childs can access. That's why JVM is alerted. JVM is intelligent. In future, child may access. Now he is not accessing. Simple example. Now I am not using my father money. In future, I may use, right? In future, I may use. So similarly, child class is currently may not access, but in future it may access. That's why always parent properties should be initialized first, so that those properties will be available in the JVM, so that child can access them at any point of time. But is it mandatory to access? Not mandatory. If you want, you can access. If you don't want, you can ignore. Got it? Yes. Inheritance with respect to variables, with respect to methods, with respect to constructors. Can you say this? Yep. Yeah. Can you read these points, man? Please read the theory. Constructor parameters, you can take anything. Lakshmi Naidu. Constructor property is not available. Even if the property not available, I can take the constructor parameter. Na? It is local variable. Just these variables will become local variables of the constructor. If I am taking 3 parameters, it's not mandatory that there should be 3 variables. I can take a local variable. Yes. Got it? Yes. Read it. The process of extending the properties from one class to another class is called as inheritance. To extend the properties, we will use extends keyword. From which class we are extending the properties, that class is called as parent or super or base. The class which is extending the properties is called as child class or subclass or derived class. By using inheritance, we can achieve that code reusability. Okay. Class user, students, extends user. User is acting as a parent and student is acting as a child. So whatever the properties available in the parent class, child can access directly by using child object. Whenever you go for inheritance, remember that always we are creating child object, so that our child properties we can access. Using child we can access parent properties also. The next one, methods. Methods are available. Okay, am I able to access parent class method by using child object? Yes. If I create the child object, child class methods I can access, as well as parent class methods also I can access. With respect to constructors, what is happening when I go for constructors? What is happening when I go for constructor? Come on. Parent class constructor is always called first. Uske baad child class constructor is getting called. All right. Parent class constructor is calling, child class constructor is called. Now, can I access parent properties and child properties? Using this a child object, can I access parent properties and child properties? emp.id is equal to 101, emp.name is equal to some John, and emp dot sum salary. Emp dot sum salary. So now these properties, all the properties available, all the properties available in the child are some properties in the parent, some properties in the parent. Can I say that I am reusing? Yes, parent class properties. I'm doing initializing, initializing parent class properties using child object. Initializing parent class properties using child object. Now what I am doing here? Initializing child class properties using its own object. Using child object, I can initialize the child properties and I can initialize parent properties also. Can I print them? Can I access them? I'm able to initialize. Can I print them? Yes. How? System dot out dot println employee dot id plus some concatenation I'm doing plus emp dot name plus emp dot salary. Emp dot salary. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Now observe. Parent class 0 param constructor executed first. Then child class 0 param constructor executed first. Then we are able to store the data into parent class properties as well as into child class properties, and we are able to access parent variables data as well as child variables data. Good. Yeah. So we understood what is inheritance and how to reuse parent class properties, parent class methods, and parent constructors. Clear, guys? Now, there is a concept called types of inheritance. There is a concept called types of inheritance. Types of inheritance is available. There is a concept called types of inheritance. Inheritance is divided into multiple types. Inheritance is divided into multiple types. Inheritance is divided into multiple types. Anybody can tell me? First one is single level, second one is multi level, third one is multiple, and fourth one is hybrid, hierarchical. Like that, there are so many types are available. Hybrid, hierarchical, hierarchical. Is it correct spelling? Hierarchical. Yeah, I forgot the spelling. Hierarchical. Yeah, inheritance is divided into multiple types. One is single level, second one is multi level, third one is multiple, hybrid, hierarchical. But in the real time, we will use we are going to use only two. Multiple not supported by Java. Not supported by Java due to ambiguity problem. Due to ambiguity problem, confusion. Because of confusion, JVM will not support for the multiple inheritance. As Java is not supporting for multiple inheritance, Java is called as partial object oriented programming language. This multiple inheritance not supported with classes, but it is supported with interfaces. We can achieve multiple inheritance in the Java by using interfaces, but not with the classes. As Java, in the Java, everything will be represented as a class and object. Okay, but As it is not supporting multiple inheritance with the classes, Java is called as partially object oriented programming language. It is not fully object oriented programming language. Got my point? Yes. Now let's talk about what is this single level. What is this single level? Single level nothing but one class is having one parent. One class is having one parent. Okay. I think in the diagram I have mentioned that. Can you see the diagram? Guys, so see what is single inheritance, what is multi-level, what is multiple, and what is hierarchical inheritance. But out of these four, which one we are going to use? Single level and multi-level. Hierarchical sometimes, maybe multiple classes may have single parent. Multiple classes may have a single parent. What about this? Multiple inheritance. What is the multiple inheritance? One child cannot have more than one parent. If you take more than one parent in the child, it is illegal in the Java. It is not possible. Got it? Why it is not possible? Practically I will prove it. Okay. Now, single level inheritance nothing but if one class is directly, guys observe, if one class is directly extending the properties from another class, then it is called single level. Now, there can be a scenario like this. Class C is available. It is extending from class B. Class B is extending from class A. C extending from B, B extending from A, that is called multi-level inheritance. It is called multi-level inheritance. What is hierarchical inheritance? There are several childs which are extending from one parent. That is also possible. That is also possible. Employee, student can extend from user. User is one parent. Employee is one child. Student is one child. So that is hierarchical. Already we have done hierarchical. Student is extending from whom? User. Employee is extending from whom? User. Can I say two childs are having single parent now? Yes. If two childs are having single parent, what is that? Hierarchical inheritance. If I make any change in the parent, both childs will be affected. Yes or no? If a parent is changed, both childs will be affected. We should be very careful when we go for hierarchical. And now in this program, user class is available. Does this user having any parent? Employee having any parent? Employee having a parent. Who is the parent for employee? User. Come on. Yes, let us see here. User class is available here, man. Yeah, first employee class is available. Employee class is available. Employee is extending the properties from whom? user. Now in Java, there is a class called object class. What is the class called? Object. Whether you extend directly or you don't extend directly, object is by default super for all the Java classes. Are you guys getting my point? Object class is the default super class for all the Java classes. Whatever the Java class you write, your class is by default child for the object. Okay, guys. Now see here. See here. Am I able to call emp.hashcode? Emp.hashcode. Is this a hashcode method available in my child class? Is it available in my parent class? No. Then how I am able to access? It is coming from the object class. Child class objects can access parent class methods directly. That hash code method is available in the object class. Object class is the default super class for all the Java classes. Whatever the methods are available in the object class, every object can access directly. Whatever the methods are available in the object class, every method can access object class methods directly. Object class is the default super class for all the classes. There are 11 methods available in the object class which everybody can access because object is a default super class. Now see here, I have a employee. Who is a parent for employee? User. Who is a parent for who is parent of the user? Object. Okay. Now if you see that, if you see single level is available, multi-level is also available. Now, sir, object is a default super for every class now. That means object is a super class for employee also, right? Employee is already having the user as a super, and it is by default object is available as a super. Two parent classes, one child class. What is the statement of object class? I'm keeping you one tricky question. Understand my question and answer that. Okay. What is object class in the Java? Object class is the default super class for every class. Okay. Now I'm taking user class, man. I'm taking user class. Now I have taken a user class. If I take a user class, that means user is having a super or not? By default. You don't need to do it. By default, it is available. What is the default super? User class is having object class as a default super class. User is having default super class which is called object. Now I am taking one class called employee. I'm taking one class called employee. Employee class is having user as a super extends. My employee extending from the user. Am I extending or not? Employee is acting as a child for user. Yes. And Java is providing one default super class. What is the default super class? Object. So object is the default super. So for employee, object is a super, user is also super. How many parents? How many child? Multiple inheritance or not? Java support for multiple inheritance? Then what is this? Guys, now see, observe. See here. What is a multiple inheritance? One child having more than one parent. If a child class is having more than one parent, then it is called as a multi-level inheritance. But when we comes into Java fundamentals, object class is the default super class. Object is a default super class for every class. Now I'm taking user. I'm taking user. When I take a user, object will be available as a superclass. I have taken employee. For employee, I have a user as a superclass. User is a user defined class. That is my own class, right? What about object? Predefined class. That is by default super for everything. That is by default super for everything. I have taken one super class. Java provided one more super class. Then how many super classes available for my class? How many super classes available? Two super classes available for my employee class. So can I call it as a multiple inheritance? Listen to me. Listen to me. In the interview, they will confuse you like this. Then what answer you need to give? You need to tell that when our class does not have a super class, then only object will be the super. If our class having a super class, then object is not our super class directly, but indirectly it is our super class. Are you guys getting my point? Yes. So interviewer will confuse you like this. Arey bhai, I have taken a employee having user as a parent, object is a default parent, two parents available for the child. That means Java supporting for multiple inheritance na. Then usko tappad maro bhai. Object class is a super class to our Java classes when our Java class does not have a direct parent. Now, for my employee, direct parent is available or not available? My employee having a direct parent. When our class is having a direct parent, object is not our super class directly. My employee having user as a parent, user is having object as a parent. So now employee class acting as a child for user. Are you guys getting my point? So it is a multiple inheritance or it is a multi-level inheritance? Multi-level. Employee having user as a parent, user does not have any parent directly. That's why user will get object as a parent. So this is not multiple inheritance. It is multi-level inheritance. Now, in the object class, there are 11 methods available, guys. There are 11 methods available in the object class. Can user class access object methods? Can user access object methods? How come? How user class object can access object class methods? User class is acting as a child for the object. My user does not have any parent. That's why object will become direct parent for the user. What are the properties? What are the methods available in the object class? We can access in the user. Okay. Now, can employee access object class methods?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Simple. Simple. Your father is having 1 crore money. Your grandfather having 2 crores money. Will you get that or not? Directly access. But no, directly we can access. Here, your father is having a property. Your grandfather is having a property. Can you access that? To be frank, in the Indian law, grandfather property is applicable for grandchildren. Yes, if your grandfather is having a property, your father will not have any rights. Only you will have the rights on the grandfather property. That is our Indian rule, Indian system. Okay, now come to here. Now, Java, come to Java. In the Java, whenever you go for multi-level inheritance, employee having user as a direct parent, object as a indirect parent. Employee having user as a direct parent, object as a indirect parent. Now, if you have direct parent or indirect parent, all the parents properties we can access in the child. If I create employee object, using employee object, I can access user class methods and I can access object class methods also. Are you guys getting my point? So this is multiple inheritance, or it is multi-level inheritance. It is a multi-level inheritance. Now, when object class will become super class for our classes? When object class will become super class for our class? When our class does not have a direct parent, then object will become our parent. If my class is having a parent, then it will become a grandfather for us. Are you guys getting my point? If I have a parent, then object will become my grandfather. If I don't have a parent, object will become my parent. So that simple technique is required. So I still remember when I attend my first interview in 2013, they asked this question. They told that Java does not support, they asked me, does Java supports multiple inheritance or not? I told them no. Then they had drawn this diagram. At that time, direct interview, face to face. Okay, they have written on the paper, okay boy, I'm taking one employee class. Employee class is having a user class. As you told, object is a super class for every class. User is having object as a super, employee having user, and Java provided object for the employee. So two parents, one child available now. Then how can you say that Java does not support multiple inheritance? Then we have to explain. Hold on. Object is a super when our class does not have a parent. My class already having a parent. That means object is not my parent. Object class will become the parent for the user. So that is a indirect parent, not the direct parent. Now my employee class can access object class methods. User also can access object class methods. Are you guys getting my point? Yes. So what is a single level inheritance? If one class is having only one parent, then that is called as a single level inheritance. Can I say user is following single level inheritance? Yes. For user, direct parent is not available. So object became a parent. One parent, one child. Then that is called as single level inheritance. Child class can access all the properties of the parent. What is multi-level inheritance? C having B as a parent, B having A as a parent, then that is called as a multi-level inheritance. How to say? Example for multi-level: employee extending from user, user extending from object. That is called multi-level. Then what is a hierarchical? One parent, two childs. One parent, two childs, or three childs, or four childs. Then it is called as a hierarchical. Okay, next one. Next one. What is multiple inheritance? If one child is having two parents, then it is called multiple inheritance. Is it supported or is it not supported? Not supported. Why? Can we see that? Can we see why? Yes. Why Java does not support multiple inheritance? I want to show you. Okay. Yeah. Guys, now see here. Guys, observe. User class is having a property called ID. Student class having a property called name. Let me take the property as a string name. And here it is having integer ID also. User is having ID name and student also having ID and name. Now I have a employee. I have a employee. Public class employee extends user comma student. Allowed or not allowed? Not allowed. Why? Why it is not allowed? Simple. The reason why it is not allowed is Suppose for example, I'm taking public static void main string arguments. I'm creating object for employee emp is equal to new employee. Employee emp is equal to new employee. Emp dot id is equal to 101. Okay, so do I have any ID property in the employee class? Do you have ID property in the employee class? No. So child class can access the parent properties. Child class can access the parent properties. ID, emp.id. ID available in the first parent. ID is available in the second parent. Now which property it has to use? It has to use the first parent property or it has to use the second parent property? Can, that is confusion, man, not first. That is a confusion. That is called ambiguity. Now, JVM will get confused by this child object is using ID. ID property available in the child or ID property not available in the child? Come on, man. ID available in the child or not available in the child? Not available in the child. When it is not available in the child, it has to access from the parent. So property is available in both parents. Which parent property it has to refer? Confusion. उसका दिमाग खराब हो जाएगा. So that is a ambiguity, confusion. To avoid this confusion, Java removed the support for multiple inheritance. Don't confuse the JVM. If you confuse the JVM, JVM will confuse you. Yes, it will not. Syntactically, it is invalid. Compiler only will stop you. Yes, syntactically, it is invalid. Through interfaces. Through interfaces. Guys, understood? Why Java does not support multiple inheritance? Why? Simple. Observe. Why Java? People may, everybody can say Java does not support multiple inheritance. But why? The reason you should be able to explain. If anybody asks you why Java does not support multiple inheritance, you need to draw the diagram. Now see here, I am having one parent, parent 1, parent 2. Here I am having a child. Here I am having this one. Let me call it as a parent 1. Parent 1 is having ID. And here I am having parent 2 having a ID. When I am child, child does not have a ID. Child dot ID. What will happen? So first of all, does this child having ID? No. In the inheritance, child can access the parent property. ID not available here, but it can access from the parent. But both parents are available. Both parents are having the ID. So which parent ID it has to refer? Confusion. That is called ambiguity. So to avoid this ambiguity, Java does not support multiple inheritance. You may get a question. Sir, I will not take ID. I will take one more property. Instead of ID, I will take a different property. Then there is no confusion. Na? I have taken name, right? Is there any confusion? Is there any confusion? But still, Java does not support. If Java support this, if you write same property, James Gosling cannot come to your system, right? By don't use same properties, please use different property. James Gosling cannot tell to every Java programmer, please declare different properties. That's why syntactically they made it as invalid. Java compiler only will kick you if you take two parents for one child. Are you guys getting my point? So the reason behind that is if you may take same properties, if you take the same properties or same methods in the two parents, child can get confused. Child will get confused. It has to refer first parent method or second parent method. That cannot take the decision. that will become a confusion for the child, that will become a confusion for the JVM. That is the reason they removed the support for multiple inheritance in the Java. One class can have only one parent. At most, only one parent should be available for one child directly. Indirectly, it can have any number of parents. Are you guys getting my point? So don't think that, sir, if I take same property, then confusion na. If I take a different property, it should support na. No. Compiler will not allow you. Syntactically, it is invalid. Syntactically, it is invalid to take two parents in the single child. Getting my point? Yes. How many types of inheritance is available? What are those? Single level, multi-level, multiple, and hierarchical. What is the meaning of single level? One child, one parent, that is called single level. Whenever you go for parent child, child can access all the public properties and protected properties of the parent. What is a multi-level? A C to B, B to A is called as a multi-level. If your class having a parent, then object will become indirect parent for you. If your class does not have a parent, then object will become direct parent for you. That is called multi-level. What is a hierarchical? What is a hierarchical? Three childs or more than one child can be available for one parent. That is called hierarchical. If a parent is modified, childs will be affected because one parent can have multiple childs. So what is multiple inheritance? One child more than one parent, it is illegal in the Java. Why it is illegal in the Java? To avoid ambiguity for the JVM. Are you clear? Yes, we can say that. Next one. Guys, there is a concept called cyclic inheritance. User will extend from employee, employee will extend from user. That is illegal. Yeah, that is illegal, guys. So people may ask a question like this. I have class A, class B. A will extend from B, B will extend from A. That is called cyclic inheritance. That is also not possible. That is also not. These all are tricky questions in the interview. You will get in the next exam. Next exam will be a blast. Right? So many concepts we are discussing because we are in the oops. Still we did not come out. And मुझे समझ में नहीं आ रहा. Daily I am taking 2 hours class. Still syllabus is not moving forward. क्या भाई क्या करना? Huh? I need to plan advanced Java in the separate time. Otherwise, it only this module 1 will take 6 months. Huh? Yeah, still I'm finding. क्या बोलूं? All right, guys. Good. Hybrid. Yes, I will tell you that, sir. Fine, guys. With this, we understood. What is single level, multi-level, multiple inheritance, and we understood why Java does not support for multiple inheritance also. Okay, guys. Unlearn people. Bye bye. See you tomorrow. Please. We'll continue tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow. If you take like this, pressure time will over. Yeah, man, what I can do. The problem is I can't skip the content. I can't rush for the content. That is the reason. Actually, I told you 1.5 hour session, but I'm taking daily 2 hours. But still, we are not able to move forward. So I need to see how can we complete the next topics little early. So I need to plan some extra sessions on the Saturday and Sunday. So this Saturday, Sunday, I DevOps batch closing is there for this weekend. This weekend I may not take extra session, but from next, once oops is completed, we will go like a rocket. Right? So oops, even if I take more time for oops now, if I take more time for oops, दिमाग खराब हो जाएगा. You understand the complexity. So a lot of concepts are internal things that we have to understand. That's why I'm not rushing for the I'm not looking to complete the course as early as possible. I want to give you as much content as I can. That is my intention. Right, guys. Bye. We'll see you tomorrow now.